and welcome back to Women's Football Talk, the YouTube channel that brings you all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football. Now before we get into today's rundown, make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on the post notification bell so you never miss a video of ours, and that you're following us on Twitter and on Instagram for all the latest news and stories as and when it happens. So this weekend in the Premier League we have some good games to look forward to, as it is a replay of the first weekend of games that were played this season in the second week of September. Obviously the first set of games were postponed following the passing of the Queen, so these are the first set of fixtures. So technically what was match day 2 is now getting played in the reverse fixtures. So if we flip back our minds to that first week, we obviously saw Manchester City lose to Aston Villa by 4-3, and WSL champions Chelsea lose to Liverpool by 2-1, and it was an absolute goal fest in the first two games, as both Arsenal and Manchester United won by 4 goals respectively. So this weekend we see the flip of those fixtures. Starting off on Saturday, we have Manchester City against Aston Villa at 11:30. Now obviously Manchester City come into this game in some absolutely fantastic form under Gareth Taylor's. The only game that they haven't won in the league was that Manchester derby before Christmas, obviously beating West Ham United last time out 1-0 thanks to Khadija Shaw. So Manchester City are a team that are looking deadly, and with a win they could go level on points with Arsenal, so that is something they obviously will be looking to do as they look to become that third team in the Champions League spot. Aston Villa looking very impressive under Carla Ward, who on Thursday announced that she will be staying with the club until the end of the 2023-24 season, so that's good news for Villa fans, as the club is definitely on a rise this year compared to previous years, and with the additions of Jordan Nobbs and Lucy Staniforth this window on top of the players that they've already got at the club, Aston Villa are definitely moving in the right direction. So again, I could see a very close game between these two sides, and it's one where I don't think I could predict a winner at this stage. Obviously Man City will probably be favourites on paper, but then going into the start of the season everyone would have said that as well, and Villa were capable of causing an upset and a surprise, so that is definitely possible this time out. Then on Sunday we have Chelsea taking on Liverpool. Chelsea looking absolutely fantastic. The only game that they have dropped points was that game against Liverpool, and most recently against Arsenal last week. However, I would expect Emma Hayes' side to be more formidable this time out, considering Liverpool's run of form recently hasn't been looking too good, and obviously getting thumped 6-0 by Manchester United last weekend won't help Matt Beard's side's confidence. There's been no team news as of time of recording, so we could potentially see Fuka Nagano make her debut for Matt Beard's side, and obviously Sophie Lundgaard made her appearance last week. So Liverpool will be wanting to bounce back after that humiliating defeat to Manchester United last week. Elsewhere we have Everton versus West Ham United, a really close battle between 5th and 6th, both level on points, and it's only goal difference separating the two sides. Reading versus Manchester United, Man United will be heavily favourites into that one, looking absolutely brilliant at the minute. Won 3 of their last 4 games, obviously the draw being the Manchester derby before the Christmas break, and yeah, it's looking all well for Mark Skinner's side, and looking one of the best teams in Europe. Then we have Tottenham versus Leicester City. Leicester City in the new year looking absolutely a turned around team, winning last weekend against Brighton 3-0, and then getting positive results in the Conti Cup in terms of how they're performing, and then the first Conti Cup game before they played Brighton last week, getting that win. So Willie Kirk's side are definitely looking a lot more lively than they have done previously in the WSL, so definite credit there. And then the final game on Sunday sees Brighton and Hove Albion take on Arsenal. Arsenal again looked okay last week, they just needed to be more clinical in the final third, and I think their chances will definitely come this time round. We could actually see this time around, obviously we didn't get to see Katrinko, Victoria Plova or Gio Quiroz play last week, but obviously getting embedded into the Arsenal team, training with them, you could see them playing in this game a bit more. And then obviously Brighton, they've been able to use their 4 signings in their games that they've played Conti Cup and league action since the restart of or since the turn of the calendar, and they've been back in competitive football. But obviously they will be needing to move up in the right direction, as they are looking behind them at Leicester City, and losing to Leicester last week doesn't help them at all. So that is why they've got to be very cautious that their results start coming under Jens Scheuer. So this weekend's European fixtures, we have games in France. The Netherlands is finally back, and we have league games in Italy as well. So the games in France this weekend: Fleury 91 take on PSG on Friday evening. Then we have a multiple of games, or the rest of the games being played on Saturday, with Lyon taking on Montpellier at 8 o'clock, so that is going to be a very good watch. Over in Italy, we have Sampdoria versus AC Milan and Sassuolo versus Fiorentina on Saturday, the rest of the games being played on Sunday. With the Netherlands, we have Ajax versus ADO Den Haag, VV Alkmaar versus Heerenveen, Fortuna Sittard versus PEC Zwolle as the Friday games, as well as Telstar versus Excelsior, and then the final game this weekend sees PSV take on FC Twente. So they are the games that we have to look forward to in the European leagues. And we also have Copa de la Reina action, which is the Spanish Cup. We have the semi-finals taking place this weekend as well, hence why there's no Spanish league action, and that Spanish league action will take place next week, so we can talk about that in the recap later on this week. So they are all the games to look forward to this weekend. Talking points, obviously we'll have our regular transfer video out on Friday to look at all the transfers that happened this past week and all the rumours. One bit of news that has been a bit strange to see over the last couple of days is that here in the United Kingdom there hasn't been a definitive right to host the World Cup who will show it. So that's going to be very interesting to see, as we are 182 days away from the World Cup, and at this minute in time we don't know who will be broadcasting it. And obviously the biggest story of this past week in regards to players was about Sara Bjork Gunnarsdottir, how FIFPro have made Lyon pay her salary, as they didn't pay her full salary while she was on maternity leave and still at the club. So credit to Sara Bjork Gunnarsdottir and obviously Emma McCandy for speaking on these incidents recently and making clubs having to step up their efforts and do better in protecting the female athletes when they are on maternity leave. Right, that is it for this week's rundown. We will be back with the recap, like I said, next week to look back at all the weekend's fixtures and talking points. And obviously we'll be back on Friday with the transfer updates, looking back at all the transfers that have happened and some of the big rumours of this past week. But until next time, we'll see you soon.